Picture this. It's April 1994. A young mother named Courtney Love is left to mourn the devastating loss of her husband, the iconic frontman of one of the most legendary rock bands of all time. Beside her stands their 1-year-old daughter, Frances Bean, who will grow up never truly knowing her father. But Kurt Cobain's death wasn't just another tragic loss in rock and roll. It was the moment that thrust a chilling phenomenon back into the spotlight, something the world now knows as the 27 Club. Welcome to Conspiracy Tapes Be Skoob. I'm your host, Ryan Martin, and today we're exploring the enigmatic 27 Club, a phenomenon that has captivated and terrified music lovers for decades. This isn't just about statistics or coincidences. It's about extraordinary talent, public acclaim, and the dark shadows that seem to follow those who burn brightest. The 27 Club isn't an official organization you can join with a membership card. Instead, it's a cultural concept that has become embedded in our collective consciousness, a tragic pattern where prominent musicians and artists meet their end at the seemingly cursed age of 27. But here's what makes it truly unsettling. We're not talking about one or two isolated incidents. We're talking about a pattern that spans decades, crossing genres, cultures, and continents. Let's travel back in time to understand how this dark legend began. The story doesn't start in the swinging 60s as many might think. No, the roots of the 27 Club stretch back much further, to 1938 to be exact, with a blues guitarist whose life was shrouded in mystery and folklore. Robert Johnson was a pioneering blues musician who died under circumstances so mysterious that legends of him making a deal with the devil at a crossroads became part of American folklore. Johnson became one of the earliest members of what would later be called the 27 Club, though at the time his death at 27 seemed like nothing more than a tragic coincidence. But it wasn't until the 1960s that this age began to take on a more sinister significance. The 60s were a time of unprecedented change. A music revolution was brewing, counterculture was rising, and young people were questioning everything their parents' generation had built. Political and social upheavals were everywhere. The Civil Rights Movement, Vietnam War protests, and a youth rebellion that expressed itself through the most powerful medium of the time, rock and roll. The artists of this era weren't just musicians, they were prophets of a new age, symbols of rebellion against conventional wisdom and authority. The rock star lifestyle was characterized by heavy substance use, unconventional living arrangements, and a live fast, die young mentality. These factors created a perfect storm that would contribute to premature deaths within this age group. In 1969, Brian Jones, a founding member of the Rolling Stones, became the first major rock star to die at 27 in the modern era. His death marked the beginning of what would become a terrifyingly consistent pattern. But it was what happened next that truly cemented the 27 Club in popular consciousness. Here's where our story takes a turn from coincidental to absolutely chilling. In less than a year, 3 of the most influential musicians of all time would die at the exact same age, creating what many consider the foundation of the 27 Club myth. September 18, 1970. Jimi Hendrix, the guitar virtuoso who redefined what the instrument could do, was found dead in his London apartment. Just 16 days later, on October 4th, the world was shaken again. Janis Joplin, the powerhouse vocalist who could make grown men weep with her raw, emotional delivery, was discovered deceased in her Hollywood hotel room, another victim of an overdose. As if losing 2 legends wasn't enough, less than a year later, on July 3, 1971, Jim Morrison, the charismatic and controversial frontman of The Doors, was found lifeless in his Paris apartment. In a chilling twist of fate, Jim's girlfriend would later die at the same age, adding another layer to this unsettling narrative. Many people assumed that Morrison would be the last of this tragic series. Surely, lightning couldn't strike 4 times, right? Wrong. The pattern was just beginning. By 1973, more than a decade had passed since this remarkably unsettling trend had emerged. Over 10 renowned musicians had tragically died at the age of 27 within just a 5-year time frame. This perplexing pattern didn't escape media attention. Newspapers began publishing articles attempting to decode the phenomenon. Television host Geraldo Rivera even dedicated an entire 90-minute episode to examining these untimely deaths, highlighting 4 notable members who later became associated with the infamous 27 Club. But here's the fascinating part. Despite ongoing media documentation over the years, the notion of the 27 Club didn't truly penetrate mainstream consciousness until 1994. With the death of one particular musician who would become synonymous with the club itself, Kurt Cobain. Even saying his name carries weight. As the charismatic frontman of Nirvana, Cobain catapulted to international stardom during the 1990s, pioneering the grunge music movement that defined a generation. But fame came at a devastating cost. Despite his success, Cobain struggled immensely with the pressures of being labeled the voice of a generation. He battled addiction, faced a tumultuous marriage to fellow musician Courtney Love, and felt overwhelmed by expectations he never asked for. The pressure became unbearable. Tragically, at the age of 27, Cobain took his own life, leaving behind a poignant note that reflected his inner turmoil. In it, he wrote words that would haunt his fans forever. "I don't have the passion anymore, and so remember, it's better to burn out than to fade away." The note concluded with a heartbreaking plea for Courtney to continue for the sake of their daughter, Frances. In the aftermath of Kurt's death, a poignant quote from his mother emerged in a local newspaper that would change everything. Expressing her grief, she said, "Now he's gone and joined that stupid club." This remark resonated deeply and was picked up by national media, cementing the 27 Club in popular consciousness. The eerie nature of these events intensified when Kristen Pfaff, the bassist for Hole, Courtney Love's band, also died at the age of 27 due to a drug overdose just a few months later. Kurt's death was a cultural earthquake that resurrected interest in the 27 Club phenomenon, bridging the gap between the grunge scene of the 90s and the rock legacy of previous decades. Suddenly, everyone was talking about this mysterious age, and its connection to musical genius cut short. The 27 Club didn't disappear after the 1990s. If anything, it seemed to gain momentum as we entered the new millennium, claiming victims across different genres and even different continents. In 2008, the world witnessed something extraordinary yet heartbreaking. Amy Winehouse, a powerhouse of vocal talent known for her deep, soulful music, won 5 Grammy Awards in one night for her defiant song about resisting rehab. Rehab. The irony was lost on no one, as Winehouse's struggles with addiction and mental health issues were painfully visible to the world. What makes Amy's story particularly chilling is that she seemed to know what was coming. In 2008, a startling statement was made by Amy Winehouse's former personal assistant to a UK tabloid, revealing that Amy harbored a deep fear of joining the 27 Club. She reportedly confided to those close to her that she had a premonition about dying young. This fear gained infamy through a controversially tasteless website launched in 2007, titled WhenWillamieWinehouse.com, which cynically invited users to speculate on her death date. Amy's fears were tragically validated when she passed away from alcohol poisoning at the age of 27 on July 23, 2011. Her final public performance was a disaster that seemed to foreshadow her end. During a disastrous performance in Serbia on June 18, 2011, she appeared severely impaired, drawing boos from the audience. Tragically, within 2 months of this event, Amy was gone. Following her death, the 27 Club surged in public interest dramatically. Google Trends data shows a remarkable increase in searches relating to the club during July 2011. The coverage led to hundreds of articles, books, and analyses. Wikipedia expanded its documentation to feature an extensive list cataloging musicians who died at 27, broadening the scope to include individuals of varying levels of celebrity status. But the club wasn't finished. The curse seemed to be globalizing. The 27 Club's reach extended far beyond Western rock and roll, proving that talent and tragedy know no cultural boundaries. In South Korea, the vibrant world of K-pop was struck by this phenomenon in a way that shocked millions of fans worldwide. Kim Jong-hyun, the gifted main vocalist of the popular boy band SHINee, was considered a standout in South Korean music. But behind the curtain of fame, he battled profound depression. On December 18, 2017, at the age of 27, Jong-hyun passed away, leaving a note that spoke of his inner suffering. In it, he expressed words that could have been written by any member of the 27 Club: "I am broken from inside." The depression that had been slowly eating me up finally devoured me, and I couldn't defeat it, ending poignantly with, "Just tell me I've done well, that this is enough, that I've worked hard." Less than half a year later, the global music community was struck by another profound loss that came tantalizingly close to adding another name to the club. Tim Bergling, known professionally as Avicii, was a Swedish DJ and producer whose innovative blend of EDM with folk and other genres propelled him to extraordinary fame. Here's what makes Avicii's story particularly eerie. Despite retiring in 2016 due to the strains of his relentless touring schedule and declining mental health, his mentor once made a foreboding remark that Avicii could be the first DJ to become a member of the 27 Club. In a twist of fate that was both tragic and ironic, on April 20, 2018, Avicii's life came to a sudden and heartbreaking end while vacationing in Oman. He was 28, just 1 year past the cursed age. The 27 Club has also expanded beyond musicians to include artists from other creative domains, such as the celebrated painter Jean-Michel Basquiat. This widening classification underscores that the challenges and stresses leading to early deaths extend beyond the music industry alone. As the 27 Club grew in notoriety, so did the mythology surrounding it. One of the most persistent and fascinating myths is the so-called white lighter curse, a superstition that has captivated musicians and fans alike. The legend suggests that carrying a white Bic disposable lighter is a harbinger of doom, particularly for musicians approaching their 27th birthday. According to a 2011 post on highideas.com, possessing a white BIC disposable lighter is deemed unlucky because it could reveal evidence of marijuana use due to ash residue, potentially subjecting its owner to police scrutiny. But more ominously, the post claims that each member of the 27 Club was found with a white lighter at their death. This superstition became so prevalent that it influenced modern artists. Frank Ocean referenced it in his 2016 song Nights, where he muses about avoiding white lighters until surpassing the age of 27. The fear became real enough that musicians actively avoided these lighters, treating them like cursed objects. But here's where fact and fiction collide in fascinating ways. BIC didn't start producing disposable lighters until 1973, years after the deaths of Hendrix, Joplin, and Morrison. Furthermore, the lighters found near Kurt Cobain's body were multicolored and pink, not white. The white lighter curse, as compelling as it sounds, appears to be a modern myth grafted onto an older tragedy. Yet the persistence of such beliefs reveals something deeper about how we process inexplicable loss. When faced with the seemingly random deaths of beloved artists, we search for patterns, signs, and explanations, even supernatural ones. Perhaps most chilling of all are the artists who seem to predict their own fates or actively feared joining the club. These prophetic voices created their own mythology around the 27 Club, often incorporating their fears into their art. Years following Amy Winehouse's death, the specter of the 27 Club lingered in the creative consciousness of musicians, fueling their artistic inspiration in both poignant and tragically prophetic ways. In 2015, rapper Mac Miller expressed his reluctance to join the 27 Club in his song Brand Name. The irony cuts deep. Mac tragically passed away at the age of 26, highlighting the haunting symbolism associated with the club and suggesting that the fear of 27 might be overshadowing the dangers present at every age. Similarly, rapper Juice WRLD's 2018 single Legends featured the lyrics, "What's the 27 Club? We ain't making it past 21." Words that proved unnervingly prophetic when he died from a drug overdose at the age of 21. These artists weren't just acknowledging the 27 Club, they were actively wrestling with mortality in their music, as if their art served as both a shield and a confession. The psychological weight of the 27 Club myth has become so heavy that it influences how young artists view their own mortality. Some see it as a deadline, others as a challenge to overcome. But for many, it represents the price of genius, a narrative that romanticizes early death in ways that can be deeply dangerous. For some people, the 27 Club represents something far more sinister than coincidence or the pressures of fame. They believe we're looking at evidence of something orchestrated, deliberate, and deeply conspiratorial. One of the most persistent conspiracy theories suggests that artists who reach a certain level of influence, particularly those who challenge authority, threaten industry interests, or promote rebellion, are targeted for removal. This theory paints the 27 Club not as a curse or statistical fluke, but as a covert operation carried out by governments, record labels, or secret societies. Consider the political context. Jimi Hendrix had begun speaking out against war and racism. Jim Morrison's poetry and stage antics were increasingly political and controversial. According to conspiracy theorists, these figures were considered dangerous to the status quo and had to be silenced. Another popular theory implicates the music industry itself. Young stars are allegedly groomed for fame, exploited for profit, and discarded when they become too unstable or defiant. Theorists point to the immense financial gain that record labels receive from posthumous releases, often far more than what artists earn while alive. Kurt Cobain's death triggered a massive resurgence in Nirvana album sales. Amy Winehouse's label released compilations and unreleased tracks after her passing, generating millions. The occult angle adds another layer of intrigue. Some theories tie the 27 Club to secret societies like the Illuminati or Freemasons. In this narrative, artists allegedly sell their soul in exchange for fame, only to be sacrificed at the symbolically significant age of 27. Proponents cite cryptic lyrics, hand signs, and symbolic imagery as hidden signals of such affiliations. While these theories lack credible evidence, their persistence reveals something important: a deep discomfort with randomness. The idea that brilliant lives end suddenly due to drugs, depression, or overwork feels too bleak. Conspiracy offers a framework, a story with cause and intent, even if that intent is malevolent. But here's what gives us hope. For every tragic member of the 27 Club, there are artists who faced the same demons and survived. These survivors offer crucial counter-narratives to the fatalism often wrapped around the myth. Ozzy Osbourne, the so-called Prince of Darkness, is perhaps one of the most surprising figures to outlive the 27 Club's pull. In the 1970s, he battled crippling substance abuse, wild behavior, and frequent brushes with death. Yet he survived and continues to perform decades later. His endurance challenges the idea that talent and excess must end in early tragedy. Iggy Pop lived fast and recklessly during his youth with the Stooges. His heroin use was notorious, and friends expected him to die young. But Iggy stabilized in his 30s and reinvented himself as a cultural elder, proving that chaos doesn't have to be permanent. Courtney Love herself came dangerously close to joining the club. After Kurt's death, she plunged deeper into addiction, legal troubles, and media scrutiny. Yet she survived and has continued to create art, speak candidly about her struggles, and advocate for mental health awareness. Steven Tyler, Keith Richards, and Slash all represent rock legends who survived staggering levels of substance abuse. Richards became a symbol of endurance, his survival often joked about as proof that mortality doesn't always follow logic. But behind the humor lies truth. These musicians found turning points, intervention, treatment, or personal realization forced change. Modern artists like Lady Gaga represent a generational shift. She's spoken openly about mental health, addiction, and fame's isolating effects, choosing transparency over silence. Her approach suggests that survival isn't just about luck. It can be supported and strategized. The 27 Club phenomenon extends beyond the music world, encompassing artists across creative disciplines. This broader scope reveals that the pressures and vulnerabilities leading to early death aren't unique to musicians. They're endemic to the creative life itself. Jean-Michel Basquiat, the celebrated painter who died at 27 from a heroin overdose, faced many of the same challenges as his musical counterparts: rapid fame, intense pressure, substance abuse, and the isolating effects of being constantly in the public eye. His inclusion in the 27 Club conversation highlights how artistic genius, regardless of medium, can be both a gift and a burden. The expansion of the club to include various types of artists underscores universal themes: the difficulty of processing sudden fame, the pressure to constantly create and innovate, the challenge of maintaining authentic relationships when everyone wants something from you, and the tendency to self-medicate against overwhelming emotions and experiences. What's particularly striking is how the digital age has intensified these pressures. Modern artists face 24/7 scrutiny through social media, instant global reach that can feel overwhelming, and constant comparison to others. The tools that can make artists famous faster can also destroy them more efficiently. As we close this journey through the haunting legacy of the 27 Club, one question remains. Was it fate, coincidence, or something far darker that took these icons too soon? Hendrix, Cobain, Winehouse, each left behind brilliance that feels almost otherworldly, as if they burned too bright for too long. But what if the number 27 isn't just a tragic coincidence? What if it marks a pattern hidden deep within fame itself? There's more to uncover. The whispers, the connections, the stories that never made the headlines. Download the Skoob app now to unlock the full story and dive deeper into the mysteries of the 27 Club. Because sometimes the truth about legends isn't found in how they lived, but in what they left behind.